Today we're going to be talking about, do stronger low back muscles prevent lower back pain, and also are they a part, or is it a part of the rehabilitation process? If you are struggling with lower back pain, you need some help, you need some clarity on what's going on with your lower back and how you can start rehabilitating it, just click the link below and go through to my How to Overcome Lower Back Pain online consultation and coaching. Fill out the questionnaires, I'll be in touch, we'll get you booked in and we'll get you on the road to rehabilitation. We're going to start this tutorial by looking at what is strength, then we're going to look at sort of what is back pain, and then we're going to look at the role of the lower back muscles within, or their function within the lower back. So what we're going to do, start with strength. So first of all, what is strength? So it's force or tension that a muscle, or more correctly, and this again is important, muscle group can exert against a resistance in one maximal effort. So that's what back pain is. And as you can see here, if I'm lifting this off the floor, so I'm lifting it straight up, my hips are going to go forward. Obviously, my shoulders are going to come upright. You've got all these muscles sort of around the posterior chain that are going to be lifting that weight. The lower back muscles are involved. And when we look at the role of the muscles and the function of the muscles, we'll start to put together why all of this is the way it is. But for now, what is strength? Well, the strength of the lower back muscles is the force or tension that they can exert against a resistance in one maximal effort. So when we're talking about back pain, that's going to be over a day, over a month, over a year. So it's not about the initial strength of the lower back, it's about something else. Secondly, we've got back pain. So what is back pain? Well, it's pain that originates from the low back. Now, in other videos, I've talked about non-specific lower back pain where we don't understand where the cause is coming from. Again, that's in some respects slightly false, because what we've got to understand and what we need to find out, and there are ways of doing that, is the pain coming from the vertebra or the facet joints that in some respects is sort of part of the vertebra? Is it coming from the disc? Is it coming from the nerve or the disc touching the nerve? Or is it simply just coming from muscle tightness? Is it coming from trigger points within muscles that can refer pain into the lower back? So we've got to understand all of these things. So with regards to the muscles and the lower back muscles, it's only really one part. And if pain is coming from the muscles, is it because the muscles are tight? And if so, why are they tight? Is there some instability there? If it's a trigger point, which muscle is it coming from and where is the pain going? Because if it's from a muscle of the hip, for example, that can refer pain into the lower back. So again, it's not necessarily a strengthening problem. There's just an active muscle knot that needs to be worked out. So a lot of people that are getting told they need to strengthen their lower back or they need to strengthen their core, in some respects, it's well, let's just say for now it's false information, because they haven't understood where it's coming from. Because if it's coming from the vertebra, if there's an end plate fracture, for example, in the top of the vertebra, then having a strong lower back or lower back muscles isn't really going to do a great deal about that. When it comes to the facet joints, if it's coming from these facet joints that go in between these vertebrae here, again, the strength of a lower back muscle isn't going to make any difference to that. The disc and the nerve, if the disc is pushing out, as you can see here, so if this disc here is pushing onto this nerve here, again, the strength isn't going to really have anything to do with that either. And then finally, the muscle, the strength of the muscle, if there is let's just say there's a little micro movement because there's some laxity in the disc, again, the strength isn't going to have a great deal to do with that, because the strength is about the holding and the force and the tension of the muscle. What prevents a micro movement and the instability due to the potential of some laxity in a disc is the timing of the muscle and how and when it activates, not how much it can activate, but when it activates. So again, with all of these, there's not really been any influence of strength within any of it. So again, we're not talking about the strength of the muscle. We're talking about possibly a trigger point in the muscle. Is it slightly in a spasmodic state? Has it tightened because of some instability? So we've got to work all of that out to understand, do we need to work on the stability? Do we need to work on the endurance? Do we need to work on the activation? All these different types of things that go into understanding the origin of the back pain and then what we can do about it. So it's not just about getting a strong lower back, because again, it doesn't really affect the vertebra, the facet joints, the disc, the nerve, or the muscle. And finally, we've got the back muscle function, or low back muscle function. Now, when we start to look at this, again, we can start to look at, we don't need to strengthen these muscles, and we certainly don't need to isolate these muscles with exercises like a back extension, for example. Because when we're talking about strength of the lower back, that is, the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. So what does that mean? Well, the whole, we're talking about the torso and the core. So we've got QL, we've got longissimus that goes up through here. We've got iliocostalis that comes up through here. We've got multifidus that goes up through here. And obviously this is on both sides of the spine. What we've then got is we've got glute max down here. We've got glute max over here. We've also got lats that come down through here and obviously down through here. And then we've got the thoracolumbar fascia, which sits over the top of all of it. So when we're talking about the strength, we're talking about the strength of the entire torso, the strength of the entire back. So we don't necessarily need stronger low back muscles. What we really need is a lower back that is working correctly. The muscles are firing at the right time, so that's the most important bit. Then we've got good endurance in the area, so they can withstand and resist the fatigue, because a big factor in why muscles might become tight or spasmodic and get muscle knots and trigger points and things is because they get so fatigued, so they just latch on and just hold the thing tight. So we need to build the endurance, and then finally we can start then developing strength later down the line. But before all of that, we've got to address the pain. We've got to get the pain down. So that's the first thing: address the pain, build the stability, build the endurance, and then eventually we build the strength. The next function of lower back muscles is to neutralize anterior shear. And in some respects, this kind of goes towards the postural muscles. So if we come back to me and the and this deadlift here, so if I just draw this line, and I'm going to say this line are my lower back muscles. So that's the longissimus, multifidus, iliocostalis, for example. What we've then got is the thoracolumbar fascia that sits over the top. Now, these muscles join into that thoracolumbar fascia. So the thoracolumbar fascia, I'm going to sort of describe as a little bit like the anchor for these muscles. So it's what they, in some respects, attach into. They do attach to the vertebra as well, and they do attach to the iliac crest in the lower on the pelvis. So all these attachment areas are their anchor. And what a part of they are trying to do. So when I go into this position, so when I bend forward, if I just draw a vertebra, a disc, a vertebra, a disc, and a vertebra, obviously these vertebra want to fall forwards like this, or they want to fall down, as it were, because I'm bent forward. So they want to fall down, but what we've got is we've got these muscles along the back of them that join into the vertebra on one side, and then the thoracolumbar fascia, they join in there as well. They have fascial fibers that join in there. So when they activate, they basically neutralize and pull back that anterior shear force. So the anterior shear force wants it to fall down or fall forwards. When we contract those muscles and tension the thoracolumbar fascia, and we tension that by activating the lats and the glutes, when we activate that, it neutralizes that force and holds the spine in position. So not only is it neutralizing the anterior shear force, but it's also acting then as a sort of postural muscle and maintaining that natural curve. When we go into a rounded spine, we lose the ability to neutralize the anterior shear because these muscles are relaxed, and then we get shearing forces within the vertebra which can cause problems. So again, it's not necessarily the strength of the muscle, which is one initial contraction. It's more about, first of all, getting them to activate at the right time, then building endurance into that so they can maintain that activation repeatedly over a period of time to resist against fatigue. And then, if we so need it, we can then build the strength to exert more force if necessary. But there are plenty of strong people that have bad backs. So if they need a stronger back, when you get smaller, sort of, as a general rule, weaker people, how strong are they supposed to make their back? Because the strong person needs a stronger back. So then the weak person needs an even stronger back. So where does the strength where is strong enough is what I'm trying to say with regards to a lower strength in the lower back. That's what we, in some respects, need to understand if we're going to go down that line of thinking. Whereas it's much more effective to understand this function and then build appropriately, which is the stability, the endurance, and then if needed, or if the goal so suits because the person wants to do it, it's then about building the strength if that is a part of their fitness goal, but it's not really a part of any rehabilitation goal. Many thanks for watching. My name is Chris. If you've enjoyed this content, please do just leave a like or click the like button below, click the subscribe button, click the bell icon. It helps the channel and hopefully promotes these videos to more people so we could get the message out about proper training, proper rehabilitation and proper use of the lower back.